Basically, unfortunately, for the last several years now, the industry has been operating in a fog. They couldn't really figure out what the SEC was looking for and how this new technology could be accommodated within the ancient rules that applied to paper filings and paper stock certificates and that sort of thing. We're talking about now, digital assets and that sort of thing on chain. So what we need to do is focus on the basics again, what are securities and whatnot, and then collaborate with our sister regulators, most importantly, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So if you divide the taxonomy that I outline, and obviously this is my views, and we'll work through notice and comment rulemaking ultimately on all of this, but if you have digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and finally tokenized securities, and the first three are not securities, and tokenized securities obviously are. So the rub comes in defining, what is and is not a security, and so that's what we are, setting out to do.
We're buying quite a lot, actually, and we'll actually report our next buys on Monday morning. I think people will be pleasantly surprised. In fact, we've been accelerating our purchases.
Are you ever not buying, Michael?
No, we're always buying. Bitcoin's always a good investment.
First of all, I think it's going to onboard trillions of dollars into the U.S., right? That's happening every single day. No country wants their own home currency other than, obviously, the U.S. dollar. No one wants a euro. No one wants the pound. No one wants, any of the Asian currencies. Guess what they want? They want the U.S. dollar. And so you have stablecoins every day that are bringing trillions of dollars every year. That's bringing trillions of dollars onto American shores. You're going to see more and more of that happening. Second of all, the speed of finance is going to go up. There's not going to be waiting, 36 hours, 48 hours over the course of a weekend to be able to send out a wire transfer. That's going to become instantaneous. Fees are going to go down. Convenience is going to go massively up. So much of the blockchain technology is going to tokenize assets. We're seeing that every day. In fact, some of our buildings are being tokenized for the first time. And I think you're going to have this major shift to Bitcoin as truly the digital gold. I think you're seeing more and more money that will ultimately come out of gold, and you're going to see that ratio disproportionately shift into Bitcoin because it's been the single greatest asset that we've seen, and it solves a lot of the problems that physical gold has, including weight and transferability and so many other things, right? The ability to monetize, speed of monetization, and so again, you're going to see crypto literally change every aspect of our financial system, and it couldn't come quickly enough. I think we're wholly behind. If you can't handle volatility, stay out of cryptocurrency and don't bother. But go into treasuries where you're going to have zero volatility, and you're going to click away at 3% returns. Go have a great time doing that, and I'll see you in 10 years.
I can't remember who mentioned it, if it was Larry Fink or someone else, but the folks are looking to tokenize ETFs. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because here in the US, I think ETFs trade at decent hours. Where I think tokenization might work, though, for ETFs is globally. So, for instance, Archex out of the UK has tokenized a few crypto ETFs, including HBAR. And what that does, it allows people in Europe to trade these without having to go through their local exchanges. So that's actually really important from a global standpoint. I don't know if it's that, in the US, we tend to think in US terms. It's like, okay, well, how's that useful? Well, for the people, it's very useful that can't, that don't want to be up in, New York hours.
So yes to that question. Let me say on stablecoins, if I can.
Yep.
I do share the concerns that you hear here, but I also think it's a positive step that we don't have a regulatory framework for these now in the United States. We tried very hard in the last Congress to work with, people on both sides of the aisle to create such a thing. Now it looks like we're well on the way to creating a framework, which I think is something we need. If we're going to have stablecoins, and apparently we are, we need to have a federal and state level regulatory framework, which I think we're making progress towards having.